Action.
That was so much better than the last time.
You framed that very well.
That was like 7.5 minutes.
You're watching Through the Lens, where Clay and I from Overnight Pictures talk about some of the films that we've made, things we've done, successes we've had, pitfalls we've had, and everything in between. Thanks for watching. Hey, Clay.
Hey, Adam.
This is this part 3?
This is
we're
part
doing
3 for October Flowers.
Of the October Flowers. OF. It used to stand for October.
F.
It used to stand for October Flowers when we made that.
Right.
Then something else came along, but it's okay.
Oh, man.
We can share the initials. We're not going to stop calling it OF. But, you know, we talked about every piece of production when it came to this film. Still one of my favorite films we've ever made.
Mine too. Definitely mine too.
Yeah. I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about just kind of a little bit end of the post-production side of it, a little bit of that kind of thing, and a bit about the distribution of it. But I'm going to let you kind of start off. I would like you to talk a little bit about, you know, some of the challenges you might have faced in post with this film.
Well, I know that it has been a while since we actually recorded an episode. We went through the whole holidays, so we tried to get ourselves up to speed a little bit before we shot this, but just for the viewer real quick, if we go over something that we've already talked about, I apologize in advance.
Yes, we apologize in advance.
No, but for real, it's been a couple months. But yeah, I know we talked about production and all that fun stuff, and definitely one of my favorites as well. I think when it came to post-production, this was the first film that I really colored. And I know that we've kind of touched on that a little bit in one of the past episodes, but I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what coloring meant. I was very inexperienced. Before that, editing to me was just strictly cutting the film together, fixing the audio, visual effects, things of that nature. But basically what the shot looked like was how you set it up. So I was always shooting for the edit in past films, and this was the first time where I really had the chance to dive into coloring. And I know that I did a bad job, although the film is now out on Tubi again, and it has been polished up even more, so it does look a lot better than when it first came out. But yeah, that was kind of overwhelming, to be honest, because I had never seen flat footage, and that's sort of alarming to see if you don't know what you're doing with it.
Fair enough.
I will admit that.
That's fair. You know, and the thing is that when you're editing something, the editor generally doesn't color grade the footage.
Yes.
Either a lot of times, if you're on a smaller set, the cinematographer insists upon color correction, and then it goes to edit and then to color grading afterward. When we talk about coloring, it's
Right.
color grading, and it's a whole different art form by itself.
Well,
It's
and
a
that was
whole
a
different art form.
big deal for me because I wanted to hire a cinematographer that released the footage to me as is, raw, if you will. I haven't directly worked with a cinematographer that demanded they got final say on grading, but I see ads posted all the time, and I know there's people out there that, I mean, it's their work. I get why they want to do that. It's really no different than photographers. They edit the photos how they see fit before they give them to the clients. And a lot of times they don't want to give you the raw. They want only the edits to be out there. So I get it. It makes sense. But I don't know. I like to have full control over that. So working with Tommy again. Well, actually, this was the first time I worked with him. But just he was someone who was totally okay with, hey, whatever you want to do with the footage, it's your footage, you're paying me for the work, cool. But yeah, I I dove into coloring not really knowing what I was doing, and it kind of generated this like odd, warm, because I wanted it to feel autumn-y, so I was aiming for this like orange, um, just kind of like overlay. And I don't know that I really succeeded, but that was kind of the goal when it came to coloring. And I know this is kind of like an area, like I know what I'm doing now, but it's hard to talk about my mindset back then because it was just an overwhelming experience. You know, like I mentioned, this was the first movie where I had a cinematographer. This was the first movie where I was really paying people to be on set. This was the first movie that I was working with actors that have actually done larger productions and been in like television shows and bigger movies and things like that. So I was like, every situation possible I was in over my head. And then on top of it, I had never colored anything. So yeah, by the time I got to post production, I was very stressed.
Understandable. Color grading is a very difficult job. Um, and you had all that footage that was ungraded, which it still can be daunting for people, and no matter how many times
Yeah.
you do it.
Well, and back
just
then, coloring was, I mean, the process has always been the same, at least for the most part. But, you know, DaVinci wasn't really a thing back then, or it was brand new. So, you know, I was still editing in Premiere, and that doesn't have nearly the same capabilities when it comes to coloring. I think that, like, Lumetri was fairly new, and most people were using it to just like apply LUTs, and then you just kind of like tweaked it as you went. And now you can like really go in there and dial in and get the look you want. But yeah, you were fairly limited back then, especially if you went in and didn't know what you were doing, for sure.
absolutely. Well, I mean, I've seen the edited version, and I gotta say it looks fantastic. So I hope you guys go to see that. And again, it's on Tubi, which is our favorite, I think, streaming service because you don't have to pay for it. You can just watch it. It does have commercials, but they're very limited. And almost every streaming service now, unless you want to pay top dollar, will insert like a commercial or two in
Yeah.
anyway. And then you're still paying for the service. So, like for instance, I have HBO Max and I have a bundle, but I got it with ads. And the reason being is because I was paying like almost $40 a month, $34 in tax a month to not have ads. So I'm
It's
like,
crazy. Yeah, some of
I'll just
these
have 2 ads.
platforms are
Yeah.
out of control for
So
sure.
now I get 2 ads no matter what, but there's just 2 ads. So Tubi is the same thing, except you don't get, you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would have rather done that, which is it's nice. So, watch it on Tubi if you can.
Yeah. It's also on
Um,
Amazon and a few other streaming platforms as well.
who
But yeah, we
yeah,
do like
who
Tubi.
yeah, and Amazon shows ads now.
Yeah.
Even if you pay for not to show ads, they show ads. So Tubi's great. Anyway, so that was a challenge and a hurdle for you to get over. And one of my favorite things that you did, we just talked about this in the car today, and a lot of people didn't like that you did it, but you used some very old style transitions
Yeah.
between scenes,
You know,
and
I
people really
took a
bagged you for it.
lot of crap for that. Yeah. And I told you, and I will till the day I die say this, but I enjoy those transitions. I think they work with the tone of the film. And you know, a lot of people I think didn't really get what I was going for. I wanted it to feel like old-timey or um like an 80s film. I feel like used the wipes, things like that. But even Star Wars uses those transitions. People just I think forget, and I don't know why it's okay that Star Wars used them, but not October Flowers. You know, people were like, "Oh, that's cheap. It looked like it was made in PowerPoint or whatever." And I'm like, they had millions of dollars on Star Wars, and they still chose to do those. So, yeah, but that was definitely an artistic choice. If I knew I was going to get the backlash, maybe I would have changed it. But I still think like it was intentional and I like it. So
Yeah, stand by your work. Those people can kiss your ass. I like it. I like it a lot. So,
Yeah.
and I gotta say that I really liked the opening sequence, the credit sequence. I really liked what you did there.
Yeah.
And for people who are just starting out, um, they're not going to be as qualified in you in this one particular thing. You are very, very good at using After Effects. And I know that some of that stuff in the beginning where it's flying through the video and stills uh, in the opening credits, maybe some of that was like a prepackaged deal, but I know that you edit those things so heavily that I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to tell if it was
Well,
yours
and
or if you purchased it.
that's what I was going to say is I know you've kind of learned some of my secrets, and then we'll get into this because I think one of the next films we're going to talk about is Pocket Man and Cargo Boy. And we have the great guys at Good Bad 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 that we'll be talking about. But they actually found out my secret too, is that I don't always do this, but I like to find templates, is what they're called, that you can put into After Effects and you can create credits, closing credits, opening credits, whatever you need. And if you know what you're doing, you can highly edit them to make them your own. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, I didn't create that from scratch. Those spider webs and everything were there, but I added in a lot. I moved them around. I changed how I wanted it to cut, where I wanted it to cut. But you need a starting point, unless this is like your strong suit, like what you're doing for a living is making credits. You don't have time to do stuff like that. But I do think taking something and making it your own is a valuable asset to learn.
Um, so we'll probably move past that. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, not too much about, it is about distribution, but it's about getting your files. We've done this before, but getting your files ready for this one in particular, second round up, you know what you're doing now, and you're getting ready to distribute to a company. I don't know if you want to talk about the company, but I do want to talk about, before we do that, just getting your assets together.
Yeah,
Um,
so I mean it's not much different than what we did with Silver Woods. I knew a bit more what I needed going in, so I didn't have to pay for anything to be done. I was able to provide everything to the company. Along the way, because of what the contract stated, this was when I also became aware that I was manipulated with Silver Woods. They required a lot of things that this company wasn't needing, but they were promising the same thing. So I was ending up paying the first company. I don't really want to throw the company's names out there, but I had paid the first company to create assets for me that I couldn't provide for nothing. I mean, at least that's how it felt to me because this second company didn't need those assets. And October Flowers did get just as big of distribution deal as Silver Woods did.
Bigger.
Yeah, probably. I think that the only thing I'll say is I think that Silver Woods was a little bit bigger internationally. So I know that they did create um, the M&E tracks for dubbing and things like that. That's the only thing that Silver Woods created that was beneficial that I didn't need for October Flowers because I don't think they really sold the film in too many non-English speaking countries. But there was a lot of other things, like even just the artwork. They wanted the artwork done in like layered Photoshop files, and the second company for October Flowers just wanted the artwork done as is, as a PNG, like a really high resolution PNG, and they
And they
didn't
wound up using
care.
different artwork anyway, except for
Yeah,
the back of the.
well, that is true. Which is kind of weird because I got charged. We talked about this already, but I got charged to make the Silverwoods artwork, but I created it. They were supposed to make new artwork. I just provided them the artwork, and then they ended up charging me for it. But yeah, October Flowers got brand new artwork made. They just went their own route and took my artwork for like promotional materials, the back of DVDs and things like that. But the main poster that they created was just files, I guess, that they found and made a poster out of. I don't know. I don't know how they made it. I
You
didn't
won
get
an award for that poster though.
Yeah.
You got one the best one of the best was it film movie posters of 2018, was it? I mean,
Yeah,
we
I
didn't
think
make it.
I
So-
think so. That was on IMDB. So I actually went and grabbed the DVD. I'm showing the camera right now because they did get this on physical DVD.
I'm going to
Which is
start bringing
nice.
those DVDs in and posters that I have and start putting them in this new office I have. So they're going to be all over the walls, but I don't have those up yet. I have a little shadow box I'm going to put all the DVDs on, since I don't have a DVD player at home any longer. But I'm glad you have that there. Well, so there's some stuff. The M&E tracks, you had everything ready to go for the most part. And I think I know it's going to take a long time to get through it. Hopefully it's not a whole negative fest, but it's probably going to be a little bit of one. So if you guys like that kind of stuff, stay tuned. But when it comes to, and we're not going to talk about the company who did the distribution by name, but if you're really a smart person, you can find out really easy. It's not that hard. I just tried looking it up right before we started recording, and yeah, I could find it, no problem. So anyway, but if you don't want to do that, don't do it. We're not going to tell you the name, but we went with a different company, a different media company, right? And this time it sounded like a really good deal, and this is our second distribution deal.
Well,
And
funny story
Clay.
too. So just to chime in on that real quick, I don't want to like derail the conversation, but it was weird because we finished October Flowers and I fully intended on signing with the first company that had Silverwoods because at the time I didn't know that we were screwed. I was just like, oh yeah, I've got this new film. And I didn't actually get a contract, but he was like, same offer. And I was like, yeah, when we get closer to being done, we'll talk about it. And then I had this guy randomly message me on Facebook. And I don't, Jack. Yeah. I'm like, I don't remember his last name. I'm not going to throw it out. I think it's a stage name, but he's a filmmaker. And this second company used filmmakers to reel people in. They would be like, hey, if you can bring in a filmmaker, we'll cut you part of their imaginary money that they're not going to make into your deal. So I get this message from Facebook because I was posting ads and trailers and things like that for October Flowers. And he was like, hey, what are you doing with this? And we talked back and forth and he just offered me this deal. He's like, hey, I'm affiliated with this company. They're looking for filmmakers that are distributing films, like full features. Here's what we offer. It sounded like a much more lucrative deal. But I was like, well, I want to talk to the company, not you. So he actually did get me the phone number or message or something. And I talked to the gentleman that owns this company. And it sounded like a great idea. But yeah, I didn't go looking for this company. It just happened. Like he just somehow he got placed in front of me.
Okay, well, there you go. I know the guy's name, so I'm not going to say it. I'll say Jack. That's the only part of the name I'm going to say. So we get this unbelievably great sounding deal.
Yeah.
And again, cautionary tale, guys, read all the fine print. Get yourself an entertainment lawyer. Don't go the route that we did where we had to learn everything the hard way. However, the contract had a lot of loopholes. Where someone could withhold. I'm not going to get into it too much because that would be a very boring video. Had a lot of loopholes that someone could get out of paying you in. But we did get our first check, which was actually for the first like month it was out was something stupid like $1,050.
Yeah, it was about $1,000.
And you distributed
I
that
thought we
to
made it.
all the actors. Oh yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
thought since that was like the first month,
I paid
and
everybody their percent. I sent out checks.
Mhm.
Some people were happy. Some people were like, that's it. Which I get, because some of the actors were making like 1% or 2%. So, you know, they didn't make a whole lot. But I'm thinking, well, if this is going to be a monthly thing, shoot, I would take $50 a month to sit there, and I'm making money from work that I did 5 years ago.
Which, by the way, since we're talking about that now, I've been an actor since I was a kid, right? You and I have talked about that before. And even in union jobs, people think that actors on television, you see me on television, Clay. I've seen myself on television. Other people have seen me on television. They think that they've seen me on television or on a commercial, that I am rich beyond my wildest dreams. That is not the case.
No.
Every moment in this world that you're an actor, you have to hustle to make money.
Yeah.
You have to use that tool they gave you for a little bit of stardom to hustle into something else. You're always working. Even when I didn't have a full-time job, I was just acting, I was constantly working. It's something we always have to do. Filmmaking, I still do photography. There's so many different jobs. I have other friends who are actors that are constantly doing comedy spots, constantly doing other things, trying to get into commercials, trying to like get an endorsement, because that's the reality of it, is that you do not make money off the acting part of it. And a lot of people think, hey, I'm going to be rich and famous. No, no, no. You might be famous, but fame isn't wealth. So the actual residuals they got for the first month after they got paid was actually very generous. You actually gave more than you're supposed to.
I don't know how much more you want to talk about distribution. A lot of it is the same thing that we had with Silverwoods, files, assets. Go back and watch that episode. I go into a lot of detail concerning that, but I do want to talk about some conversations that I had with this company about why we're not making any money. Is that okay?
That was what I was going to get to. I wanted to get to that, and then I wanted to get to some of the arduous things you had to do,
Sure.
and then the happy ending.
Okay. Well, we may have to do a fourth episode. I know we'll probably roll in. The nice thing is, like I said, I think we're doing Pocket Man and Cargo Boy next, and it's the same company, so it'll kind of all flow together anyway. But yeah, so we signed a 7-year deal. And the contract was, hey, you can only get out of this if both parties agree. After about 2 years, I started getting very like, where's any money? Where's reports? Can I see what's going on? I kind of left it alone because we were just busy. We had shot Pocket Man and Cargo Boy, finished that. I had another child. No, I didn't. My kids were just getting older. We shot Pocket Man and Cargo Boy 2. My dad passed away. I lost grandparents. Life just happened, And we got to a
And on
point.
top of that, this guy was very adept in misdirection.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
not answering the phone and sending you to somebody else.
Very hard to get a hold of. Yeah. I said, I basically had to send like very, I hate to, say threatening, but I had to kind of send threatening emails like, hey, what's going on with this? I see this. Like, I was snooping hardcore, like Scooby-Doo. But anyway, I finally started getting some answers, but I was like, why are we not making money? And he would just say things like, these things take time. We're working on it. Be patient. And I just took that for a while. And then 3 or 4 years into the contract, I said, I need to see some more updated reporting. Like there's 4 years worth of crap that I don't have access to. And he started sending reports and everything was like, oh, you made money, but we had to spend money on marketing and advertising and licensing and blah, blah. So you're actually negative. So I wouldn't get any payout. And I'm just like, great. So if we're in the red, that means that you're losing money on my film. So I started turning it into, if we're more than halfway through this contract and you're still losing money on me, can I just have it back? Like, it's not doing you any good. And he did not want to do that. This company was very much, we're going to make money off of this. Or at least that's what it seemed like. I now know that it was, we're making money on this and we don't want to let it go. I recommend getting everything in documentation. So I wanted emails. I would send things. I would ask for confirmation. And then there's a paper trail that you can follow. So it got to the point where the end of the contract was coming up and I was like, hey, I'm not renewing, because there was an auto renew. I was like, I need confirmation that we're not renewing this. It's done after the 7 years. I get to decide that. You don't have any say. It only auto renews if I don't do anything about it. So I got them to acknowledge that, and the contract was terminated. But we had another 8 months of phone calls, emails, streaming matches. I was literally fuming.
They were still making money off of it and not giving you any of the money. Okay, so you got the film back. Finally.
8 months.
And everything was done.
Later.
8 months later, you didn't get a dime from all the fraudulent activity this company did to you.
No, they didn't even give me a report after all of that.
No, nothing. We could probably go and sue, and they'd probably just step us on the judgment. No. So we've left it alone. However, there's a ray of sunshine. We own the film again.
Yeah.
It's ours. You can see it. And we're making, the reason why we know that we're making good money is because we're making really good money off this. No fake advertising, none of that stuff. We're just making really good money per month. And how long has it been out for now?
It's been on Amazon for like 4 months and Tubi for like a month, something like that.
For a month.
And we're
making good money already.
We've already made, like, I don't know the exact numbers, but like,
it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
It's
good enough money that you can see that that's why they wanted to keep it. Like, it's obvious, you know?
Yep. And when it first started, these things have a lifespan. So when it first came out, they made a lot more money off it than they did 5 years down the road. Now it's almost 8 years down the road for us. We're still making good money. Imagine how much money we lost. So I guess the moral to the story is, for one, hey, it's a happy ending. We got our film back. But the moral of the story is to be careful when people promise you things. We've said it before, that sound too good to be true, because they always are.
Yeah.
And this is another one of those things that was just too good to be true. And people who manipulate you will continue to do so. All they have to do is get you on the phone and tell you a little bit of something you want to hear to keep manipulating you. They're very good at it. And a lot of these companies, the people that own them and the people that run them, are very adept at manipulation.
Yeah. So, well, and I'll throw this out there too. Just, I mean, why not? I don't like to badmouth people. And again, this was my experience. Maybe you have a good experience if you're in the same, situation that we're in. I know people that have made money from distributing and signing with companies, but I found out that they were putting their films that they acquired from filmmakers through FilmHub. So they were literally doing the same thing we were doing. We were just not getting any money out of it. They were taking it from people, because after the 8 months, one of the reasons that we were able to get it back after FilmHub said that they couldn't clear it was because they had submitted the film through FilmHub. So that's why it was flagging. It was flagging on Amazon because it was still live on Amazon. They did take it down from some platforms after some arguing, but then it was still on Amazon, and it was on Amazon because they had put it through FilmHub. So they did do some distribution, but then they were also pumping films through FilmHub. So anyway, moral of the story is, I would just be cautious of everybody that you don't know personally very, very well has your best interest. And also learn the ropes, because most of these companies are probably just using FilmHub or another aggregator, and you can just do that all yourself and keep the money. They actually pay you the money.
In this day and age, if you're a small, tiny company like we are, you just do it yourself. I mean, honestly, figure out how to do it yourself. If you have any questions, you could just ask us. We'll be
Yeah.
happy to try to help. Um, it's it's time.
It's
It's
time.
time to stop getting
Yeah.
taken advantage of. But it is a happy ending to a very long story, and I'm glad you shared the rest of it with us.
Yeah, it's rough. Like thinking back on it, I had moments. I remember being on the phone with you a couple of times, 3 or 4 months in, and just being like, I don't know if we're gonna get that movie back. Like they are holding on to it like it's the last piece of gold.
Well, they made some money off of it,
I
so good
was
for them, I
pissed.
guess.
I was so
Yeah.
mad.
Ugh. Well, there you have it, folks. So we've been running for a bit of time here. Do you have anything else you'd like to say about this film before we do our next film, probably next week?
I think that's really about it. Like I said, this is a terrific film. I'm still, what are we, 8, 9 years later now? It's 2026. Holy crap. Um, it's still one of my favorite films that we've released. And it holds up. So I mean, like, check it out. I could talk about this movie for hours. I don't want to bore you. I learned so much in this whole process. As you heard, just a couple of months ago, I was still learning things from this movie. A lot of firsts for me, you know. It should have been called The First October Flowers. I'm just kidding.
Well, thanks for sharing, Clay. And guys, if you like what you saw today, we hope you did. If you like what you saw today, please do us a favor, like and subscribe if you can. If you have any questions about this film or any of our other films, or about how you're doing your film, please feel free to leave those comments below. We do read every one of our comments. We get back to people as soon as we possibly can, and we'd love to hear from you. That's all I have to say. So I think that's it.
Thanks for watching, guys.
All right, guys. Bye. Yay.